Oi, oi, welcome back to the martinliedtke channel. Thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoy watching. Much love to you all. Today, we're going to talk about the Vril spark and hidden human potential. Here's a picture of Adolf Hitler, and he's going to tell these young people in World War II a little secret. Now, the Nazis had advanced in technology rapidly prior to World War II. I mean, they were miles ahead of the competition in the rest of the world. They had infrastructure, advanced technologies, weaponry. I mean, they were miles ahead. And some questioned, where did they get their advanced technologies? Well, it's filtered through that they got their technology through some of their occult beliefs from others. Or was it from tapping in to Vril? Now, instead of seeing Vril as some sinister Nazi-linked occult force, see it as a way of tapping into the wider field of information, of data. And this field of data, this genius, is what gives us creativity and collective memory and enhances our power of imagination. Now, the origins of Vril are super interesting. As we know, it's linked to UFOs and other technologies. But Vril was first mentioned by Bulwer Lytton's 1871 novel, The Coming Race. Vril was introduced to the people, and it was this mysterious life force from an advanced subterranean people from underground. They are indeed underground. It's an energy of awakening. It is a spark. It is the device that civilization uses to drive it forward. Here's a picture of Maria Ostrowich, who is a member of the Thule Society, who are linked to the Vril force, which we'll talk about now in a second. So Vril is not a mechanical power that lifts the mercury-filled Vimana flying saucers or Foo Fighters of Germany in World War II, or indeed the Glocken, the bell. These technologies also linked to Vril force. I don't see it as a mechanical power, but a harmonic resonance, a specific resonance. And it's in the same spectrum and linked to chi energy and ley line force, the vital energy force, the prana within this place. Let the force be with you, Luke. Vril is what artists and creators and mystics and inventors tap into. It's the genius, the jinn, the creative, the catalyst that lifts civilizations and brings them forward after resets. We're going to look into the Thule Society. There's an island called Tile here, which is Thule, and you've got these. You can see these strange Phoenician whales that they've named, which I often talk about on this channel. So also, which I think is mind-blowing and more important, is that the energy, the chi energy, if you want to call it that, but the type of energy that Vril is linked to Gothic cathedrals. And it's linked to airships, and it is linked to antiquitech. Vril is the engine behind cultural reset, inspiring societies to rebuild, reinvent after the collapse of an old paradigm. Here we can see the Glocken. I can't establish whether the Nazi bell actually existed, but apparently it was capable of time travel. I can't imagine they could think of everything in this realm, but they haven't got time travel together. It just bugs me. I think sometime in the future, if they can do time travel, can they only go forward or backwards? I do not know, but they say that they managed to send this back or forwards to actually the 1950s to Cuxburg, I think it was, in the United States, where they found said bell, but obviously have no proof that any of this happened. But it's interesting that the narrative is out there and it's all tied into the mythical force that is Vril. Now, I see all of this linked into flat Earth and the mechanism behind flat Earth, which I've been talking about for years. And what I see happening is this. Now, after the collapse, like I said, of all paradigms, a new collective memory emerges. And that collective memory that we tap into is the Vril energy, the Vril force. And what you're tapping into, guys, is Tartaria. Is Tartaria. And we remember our deeper roots and our true history. Vril is Brill. There's been a lot of bad information put out about it, but when you think of the esoteric and the occult, that just means the hidden, doesn't it? Hidden esoteric knowledge that the Vril Society and other, mystical, supernatural societies were definitely akin to the knowledge of Vril. Now, they do say that these Vimanas, this is, I can't establish whether this is AI, but this image has been out there a few years now, there's a few of them out there, of heavily armed flying saucers. Now, there's been many reports, as you know, World War II of Foo Fighters and flying saucers. And this is all linked into Antarctica, other worlds, as you know. Apparently, Hitler took a load of flying saucers down there after World War II. And then Admiral Byrd goes off and flies after him, or goes after him with Operation High Jump, etc. Now, what if the others, are there? And they're there right now. And I'm going to tell you where I think these others are. So you can see Hitler's got a little black book. You can see Trumpsky got a little black book, because they're all in the same gang, all in the same club. So interesting little narrative, I think, behind Adolf Hitler's gain to power and the, as you can see in his hand, the mandrake root that he put under his bed, that magician, who he later got rid of because apparently found out he was Jew, helped him gain power. Apparently this mandrake root is some sort of mythical force that if you, with the power of minds and belief, if you think that it's going to help you to power, then indeed it will. But again, I can't prove whether this is just propaganda of World War II, or if there's any truth to it. But there's definitely truth to the Thule movement, and definitely truth to, the goings on in Wilsberg Castle that belonged to Himmler, and the Dark Knights and the Black Sun. And we do talk about the Black Sun. We talk about two suns, don't we? And I talk about the North Pole hole. Well, all of this is also tied into the narrative for Vril, which we'll look into in a minute. So they like to say that it is dark occultic forces that reign supreme throughout this regime. But maybe, like I said again, everything in mirror reverse, that was not the case. Now, they had the Hanabu, apparently, the schematics for it. Apparently, they had these up in the air. Plenty of Americans apparently reported Foo Fighters as even a shitty rock band named after them. What's the worst thing in reality? Dave Grohl's basement. So very beautiful, and I think hypnotically so, is the woman Maria, who's part of the Thule movement. But really, when I seen this, obviously you can see intricate sigil maybe, but the star in the middle and the what they would call a swastika, but the toroidal, and I think it's looking down on the plane that we live in, which I'll show you in a minute. So yeah, these are members of the Thule Society, and there's a lot of prominent Nazis that are in this sort of society and others, but you can see that these, Maria and Trudy and Sigrun and Dugrun and Heike are absolutely beautiful women, and they all have one thing in common, except for this one, yeah, she looks very modern, is they have beautifully long hair, except for Gudrun. So there's the Vril women from 1922 to 1945, when I guess all of that went undercover. So yeah, rocket advancement. Nobody else in the world was managing to get it up at that period in time, but we had the Germans had V1 and V2 rocket availability. And all of the scientists that were taken Operation Paperclip after World War II to America and then to set up NASA. Advanced technologies of Germany include in World War One Zeppelins, which we talk about, like the Graf spray, and other Zeppelins, which are zapping, as you can see here, Paris and other starboard cities with a high energy laser beam, which is used from Zeppelins. And the Vimana technology of mercury and spinning mercury and vortexing, and then it creates some sort of lift and Vril force, or the resonance, because I see Vril as a harmonic. I see it as a resonance, a specific sound, a specific key that will lift anything. And also free energy. I think the Germans and the whole world up until easily 1900 was enjoying free energy, including Germany. And advanced technologies like the UFO. So this gave birth to, oh well, it's from far off planets, etc., and that space is real, and UFOs and aliens and little grey men. Now I've seen UFOs, guys, but I haven't seen little grey men. And what I do notice is these things, like literally just like automobiles, they come on in technology. So from this look in the 1945, then they get a bit more Hollywood in 1950s. By 1970s, they look like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and then the lighty up things that you see in the modern day, which I've seen one of them, which proves that they're people that are building these, and they do have anti-gravity technology. What got rid of the air balloons, as you know, interesting 33 kills in the Lakehurst disaster and explosion, where the Hindenburg bites the dust. Oh, the humanity. But the Nazis had many more technologies, as you know, than that. Interesting, something I noticed here as well. So here is the Thule Society. This is from 1918. During the First World War, this thing is up and running, this organization. And they're using what looks like the swastika, but before the Nazis started using it, the Hindus and the Indians had, it's a lot of Hindu, I guess, and you could say symbolism included in the rite for some reason, including the peace sign, which is what the swastika is a peace sign, ironically. So yeah, they're using sigils as well in the symbologies and the symbols of the black sun. And the black sun you can find inside this castle, or spooky castle, that is Wewelsburg Castle, which is the castle that belonged to Himmler, like Marshal Himmler. And you can see inside they had these knights, if you like, and they're doing some sort of ritual and summoning up some sort of fifth element life force, which they regard as Vril, and they regard it as being very, very real. Now, like I said, the book that brought out Vril, The Coming Race, which talks about a master race of advanced beings that are aided from a subterranean people, Agartha, or the inner earth. Now, when I looked at this inner earth map, something became apparent to me, and I thought, oh, why? First of all, you've got the gravity wells here and here, here and here. I see a double torus. I see the model I've already proposed for the inner earth. Now, I got to thinking then, let me show you exactly what I mean. Now, if you're not up with the double torus model, just imagine that this is the inertia plane, or maybe 12 kilometers below our feet. We wouldn't be able to stand on the inertia plane, but it's inert enough for us to exist on. It's why mountains just don't fly off. We're living on there. And then you've got the push and pull from the torus fields that are going through in the center here, where you can see the flower of life, the North Pole hole, simultaneously coming up and down at the same time. As you can see, exactly the same thing is happening on the other side of the inertia plane. That's where I think they are. How do you access them? Under the depthless water that goes into abyss, the seas that are infinitely deep, maybe no, just infinitely deep, and islands and vortexes that take you to these places that are on the flip side. That's where they are, the others, on the flip side, and they are more advanced. I got a feeling that they know about us. There's been an energy or a informational exchange that Nazi Germany got onto earlier than everybody else. I think the Americans and the Russians probably didn't have that information at that period in time. We are upside down, where they, the others, are on the right side up. We are upside down. How do I know we are upside down? Oh, because the human vision sees everything upside down, and it's corrected by a human vision and put the right way up again. So the world that we see is actually upside down, and the eye corrects it and puts it upright, proving the world we live in is actually upside down. And the other side, the flip side, this side, is where the others are. How do you get to them? Poof, through the middle bit. They say there's a magnetic mountain in where they say the North Pole is. Now, they never mention the North Pole. They just say there's a load of ice. You never hear anything about the North Pole in the mainstream or in anything. Nobody's talking about the North Pole. And this 1500s map from Mercator is a really interesting map because it shows down here, if you just see Iceland, not really where it is, and Greenland, okay? You can see this island here, this island which is up here, which is Thule, which is an island that's not really there anymore. It's a mystical island, along with Friesland and other islands that have completely disappeared. So you get 4 continents in the middle. How do you know they're not there? They're hiding so much from us, and it's not even that far away, but there's just some sort of ice and snow going on. But you get into the interior, and like the book, The Smoky God tells us, it's like a spring day in Amsterdam once you get past where that needle points to. And then in the middle is the, excuse me, I've showed you here the lambda, the gravity hole, if you want to call it that, the North Pole hole, which opens up, okay? And then you can see a pyramid structure, which is akin to the Mount Meru. And if you just put that alongside the Agartha gravitational well, which is what they call these things, you get the North Pole hole, the same as what I've already proposed in an old picture for Agartha. And I see the double torus, which is what I think that they're actually talking about. It's the flat Earth. And yes, I really do think that there's something on the flip side. And so does this map. This map is in Darling Park in Sydney, and it shows you Mount Meru, and it shows you the plane we live on, nice potential ice wall around. But these technasmia lines, magnetic propagation lines, which show that there's more going on, and they know it. And the guy who definitely designed that, he knows it too. I think there's flip side to this. But interesting that he knows about the magnetic propagation of the torus in a park design. How did they know that? So the Thule Society and other occult societies, and this guy here, Reichsmarshal Heinrich Himmler, the chicken farmer, visiting one of his holiday camps there. It's a nasty little story. He got some snot on him or something. That's really upset. Said, I don't want to go back to one of them again. Here they are. Agartha, mystical cities underneath the world. which is spoken to about by this narrative, and Admiral Byrd apparently went through a hole in the North Pole and witnessed giant cities, beautiful people, and advanced civilizations. So the Nazis and the Americans both going along that narrative with their peeps, like Admiral Byrd. So here is a map of Wewelsburg Castle, the castle of the Black Knights, if you want to call them that, or the Vril Society. But there's a lot of what they would call magical crafts being played out. And what you see is it looks like an electrical circuit board. It's vast. It goes out into the countryside. There's a lot more going on with this ancient device. And right in the center there is a black sun. The black sun is a big part of their narrative. Really super interesting that they would know that. So yeah, this is the remnants of the castle where these Nazis, all the SS, all stood around. As you can see, there's a crazy structure to it. There it is, excuse me. And it is a triangle, like the Masonic triangle. Interesting that is. And there is inside this chamber where they've been doing some sort of rituals. I can't imagine how they had all of this advanced technologies, the Germans, and all of these really shiny soldiers and weaponry, and they managed to lose World War II is beyond me. So I don't think they did. There is the Black Sun. And that is a song by, I can't remember now, Soundgarden, that's it. So yeah, check it out. It's like some sort of circuitry, but definitely the pyramid going on. But I've seen this symbol somewhere before as well. So the castle has got a more ancient secret behind it. Here is a really interesting map of, excuse me. You can see Europe here. Interesting that Germany is this really, Germany's obviously not Germany until 1871, but this massive pink area here with the serpentine being, and then here's France. So Germanic races, the Belgians, the Dutch, and Germany there, all the way up to Latvia, Lithuania. Estonia is not really prominent on that map for some reason. Interesting that Britain looks a bit squished. He's got these mermen again. But there it is, Thule, and there you got Iceland, which for sure exists. This doesn't, neither does that one. And except for the Faroe Islands, which are indeed there, these are not really there. They're supposed to be High Brazil, which is this one here as well, off of Western Island, which is no longer there. And obviously the middle island bits in the North Pole are also on this map. Why so many maps? Need to show us there's all of this going on, which they tell us is not there. Is really strange. So the Tartarians, how did they tap in? Well, there's plenty of ways. Long hair. They tell you all about that in the Holy Bible, the story of Samson and Delilah. He thinks that the strength is in his hair. She's like, cut his hair off. I don't want him having any strength. He cut his hair off, and then he can't pull down the temple with his arms because he's like, well, I've lost all my strength because she cut my hair off. Somebody cut my hair off when I was asleep, and my eyebrows. And then he finds out that it was just in believing that, and he did indeed have the strength, and he pushed the temple down. But the analogy that hair gives you strength. And they have all of these women with these beautiful long hair, absolutely beautiful. In these old photographs, she's looking at a tablet, an Apple tablet. So yeah, the hair itself, and I've long thought this as well, because that's why I have long hair, and I noticed a difference when I had it cut, is that it is an antenna. My hair is an antenna, beards maybe as well. Not big on them, though, myself. Look how beautiful. And you can see that the torus, the waves in the hair, is the torus field, the natural torus field that hair is akin to. So yeah, it is a natural antenna, and it picks up the wider field of information. So this is why, oh, look at the waves in that. Just waves, like radio waves. Look at that. Human technology. Absolutely amazing. So yeah, I've long since thought about, the first thing they do when they put you in the army is cut all your hair off. Do you all think the same? They go into prisons, not so much in the modern day, but they used to cut their hair off. Things like concentration camps used to cut all their hair off. Gulags, things like that, cut all their hair off. Even school. So it is a control mechanism because it cuts you off from the wider field of information. Now, the Resecutionists, he looks a bit of a dude. Don't hold that against him. Look at the waves and look at the size of that comb. That's really a big comb. It's the biggest comb I think I've ever seen. Wow. So yeah, they cut your psychic abilities when they cut your hair, which is why they're doing it when you get in the military, etc. And look at the waves, the waveforms in this. And I think you can read people's like magnetic field, if you like, and their aura from their wavy hair, like that. So yeah, the Resecutionists definitely, although they don't follow the coming race theology, but the Resecutionists, there's a really interesting arm of the Resecutionian movement called the Martinists. Now, I have read a bit of the book of the Martinists. It's absolutely fascinating stuff. These look a bit close, don't they? Maybe a bit of kissy. I don't know. There's something funny going on, yeah. Not sure if they're all chicks. Let's have a look. So yeah, these are members of the Resecutionists. A supernatural belief system in that as well, but for preserving and beautifying hair lean, world-renowned hair producer and restorer. That's what I could do with. They can't get, all this shampoo in the modern day is all really chemically. Look at the waves in that. It's like when you see harp blitz the sky. We've got waves in it like that, or waves on a beach. But yeah, long hair. So I wouldn't go that long, obviously, because that would take a long time. But I definitely think long hair. And I do feel a difference. I had it cut off prior to going to America, and I definitely didn't feel the same. Wow, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Look at that hair. Yeah, so it drags. What? So what do they do? Do they just pick it up? Or they just don't go up much? That background looks like it's an insert. It is. It's an inserted fake background. Why? Because I can't do pictures in a normal room. Anyway, so what does it drag in the mud? So I'm guessing they lift it up or put it in a bun or something. Wow. I'm not so sure about that one, though. There we are, cavorting on the swing in another one of these studios. That's all you ever see. You never hardly see anything in natural surroundings in Victorian photographs. You always see it and they're in this like morning suits, really black, nasty looking. Dreadlocks on this one, or locks anyway, for the rest. Yeah, not as good looking as the Thule movement. Them ones absolutely smashed it. I'd be tempted to join if they all look like that. I'm not saying that the Thule movement is some sort of good-looking woman's sex cult or anything, guys, but you just don't know, do you? So on the flip side, maybe that's what happens when there's a natural, when there's a reset, is the electromagnetics flip, and then we're on the right side up, or the right side up, and then they're on the wrong side up, if that makes any sense, because we're upside down. Because our vision changes your back, so the world is upside down. So you can imagine the world being like what the Smoky God told us, the book Smoky God. One of my favorite all-time books. I have it actually here beside me, by Willis George Emerson, The Smoky God, The Voyage to the Inner World. And what is interesting about Olaf Johnson and his father is that Olaf himself came up after going through into the middle world and meeting these cats in the south. In the south. And you see the hole in the south as well on the Agartha map, which I find really interesting. You know, all of this is the flip side, and it's all fitting. That Agartha map looks exactly like the double torus, and you even get the gravity well. Just stunning. So yeah, big, massive beings. I think like this Tartarian in silks that you see in so many beautiful photographs. And these silks are the type of silks that you see the people of the Hyperborean were wearing. And indeed, yes, some of them are pygmies, others are giants. And they spoke in a strange language, very intrigued by us. And there's Olaf and his father. His father perished. Olaf was, oh, well, when he got back to America and recanted his story, he got accused of being insane and put in a mental institution for something like 25 years. For even suggesting that there was anything inside this place or down below our feet. As you can see, they are giants, beautiful people, apparently, really gentle, and they had just an unbelievable lifestyle. And this is what was reported by Olaf Johnson. One of my favorite books, also that was re-released this week by Flatwater Flat Earth, one of my very favorite YouTubers. I'll check that out. Right, just to finish off, another really interesting thing is Bovril. This is a beautiful drink that we have in the UK. They have messed with it in the past when the BSE crisis happened, if you want to call it a crisis. They took the beef out of Bovril and made it Vegemite, if you like. And it was very popular, but they brought it back, good old beef, Bovril. And what this stuff is liquidized beef. I love it. It's fantastic. It makes you feel so warm and cushy. Cushy is comfy in Welsh. On a lovely winter's night. Now, what you may not know is the guy who invented Bovril was into the Thule Society and Vril very much. This is Bo, as in bovine, and Vril, bovine Vril. And he was saying that there's a force, in this case, bovine Vril, Bovril, that would keep you healthy and keep you strong. Here's some World War II adverts. Daffs the cap to the splendid women of Britain. So yeah, they're having Bovril in World War II to keep them all chipper. There you are, Bovril that keeps us going in World War II and World War One. My place at the front, drinking Bovril. Funny that we were fighting the Germans, but we were drinking something that was named after the Vril Society, isn't it? Of Vril. Bovril will pull you through the winter. And it does. It saved many, many British people. We used to drink this, or still do, I think they do in the modern day, in football matches. In the cold, wintry, British, nasty-ass winter, you can have a Bovril, or Bovril, and it'll make you feel groovy. Puts beef into you. Mm. I'm jolly well taking daily Bovril. Mm. Take Bovril and develop strength. So it's, saying that Vril give you strength after bathing. Bovril to prevent the chill. Take Bovril to prevent the chill so you don't get cold. Because apparently people were bathing out in the sea and then going in these little sheds that they were doing in the past, which makes no sense. Bovril, not advert then, prevents that sinking feeling. So yeah, it's got buoyancy aid. I think it's just always sit next to the fat person. They float best. And as you can see, World War One, World War Two, Bovril. And I never noticed it before that they got Vril smack in the middle of London here, Piccadilly, or in Trafalgar Square. Yummy, lovely 60s lady to model it for us. So, well placed. Well-placed Big Ben there. But yeah, Vril, right in the centre of London. Who knew? So Bovril versus influenza. Bovril gives you strength and helps keep away those snotty noses. Who knew? So this wasn't a product placement for Bovril, but it is really lovely stuff. It's either you like it or you hate it, a bit like Marmite. Me, I got to be in the mood, but when I am in the mood, it's fantastic. So yeah, just to recap, this is what we've been talking about tonight. Vril, the spark that kickstarts societies after a reset, and they tap into it. The Germans tapped into it, and they got information from others. I say that the others are a subterranean advanced civilization that live on the flip side of us. That's what's been going on. Access through the North Pole or through the South Pole. That's what I'm saying, yo. Make sure to subscribe to my channel. I hope you enjoyed this video for today. I will be back very, very soon. This has been Morticus Van Helsingson, and I love you all very much. See you soon.